When Kirby Air Riders was first announced for the Nintendo Switch 2, a lot of people, myself included, wondered why Nintendo was putting out a new racer so soon after what looked like their big flagship, Mario Kart World. On paper, they're both kart races in colorful worlds, but honestly, that's about where the similarities end. Kirby Air Riders is a fundamentally different kind of racer, and even though I wasn't a fan of the original Kirby Air Ride on GameCube, or even Mario Kart World for that matter, this has ended up being my favorite racing game on both the Switch and Switch 2, and it's absolutely worth a look. Surprisingly, the plot in Kirby Air Riders not only exists, but it is actually pretty intriguing. You play through it in the single-player road trip mode, which tells this big cosmic war story that gives all these cute little characters a reason to be riding around on strange new machines. It's not some deep emotional epic, but it doesn't need to be. It's stylish, it's fun, and it feels like the kind of ambitious side mode we haven't seen from Nintendo since the Subspace Emissary in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now, to understand why Road Trip works so well, you have to understand how Kirby Air Riders itself works. When you boot it up, you've got 4 main modes: Air Ride, Top Ride, City Trial, and Road Trip. Mechanically, it hasn't really changed all that much from the 2003 GameCube original. You still do almost everything with a single button, which sounds completely backwards for a racer, but it genuinely works. You see, you automatically accelerate based on your machine. Holding the button slows you down, holding it long enough breaks you, and if you release at the right time, you get a short boost. The whole meta, so to speak, of Air Riders is about choosing when to lose speed so you can gain even more. Once that clicks, it becomes this strangely freeing system that lets you focus on maintaining and building speed instead of wrestling with a dozen inputs. Once you've wrapped your head around the controls, either via the tutorials or by just messing around, you can jump into any mode you like. Air Ride is your more traditional offering: lap-based races, time trials, and even an endless free ride style mode where you can loop tracks and just explore. The courses here are cleverly designed and much wilder than you'd expect, with crazy loops and dramatic shifts in the environment that really show off what the Switch 2 can do. It has that same kind of frenetic energy you might have seen in something like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Whereas Top Ride is the odd one out. It switches to a top-down perspective, gives you its own set of tracks, and uses the same core mechanics in a more stripped-back way. It's a nice option if you find the main races overwhelming, and it definitely has its fans, but for me, it's the weakest of the bunch and a bit too simple to keep me coming back. The real star, though, is City Trial. This is a bizarre PvPvE mode for up to 16 players, where you're all dropped into a city map to gather power-ups and vehicles before a final stadium event. This is where the game gets properly intense. The map is full of chaos. World events might spawn a boss, rain explosives down, or even just trigger a quick race where everyone has to scramble to the finish. Playing it in the same room as friends is kind of ridiculous in the best way. You get these completely unhinged moments that have everyone yelling at the screen. At the end of each City Trial run, you jump into a stadium minigame. Sometimes it's a straightforward race, other times it's a quick objective-based challenge. There are over 15 different stadium events, and you can even play them separately if you've got favorites. City Trial plus stadium events are easily the highlight of the whole package for me. If anything, I just wish there were 1 or 2 more city maps to keep it feeling fresh over the long term. All of these pieces come together in Road Trip, which is the main solo experience. You ride along branching roads, choosing your path through the story and tackling encounters built from all those modes and minigames. Think of it as a mashup of the spirit battles and the World of Light from Smash Ultimate, mixed with the narrative ambition of Subspace Emissary. There's a ton to unlock, and the structure makes the story endlessly replayable if you want to see every weird little corner of it. Now, backing all this up is a very strong roster of characters, basically a who's who of the Kirby universe. Each character can pair with different machines, and those combinations have unique abilities and playstyles, not just stat tweaks. It feels a lot more considered than most kart races, where characters are often just skins with slightly different numbers. The downside, though, is that a lot of these characters and machines are locked away at first, which can be annoying if you want to jump straight into multiplayer with every toy available. Now, speaking of multiplayer, Kirby Air Riders is surprisingly robust. Pretty much every mode except Road Trip is playable with up to 4 players locally. Performance is very solid. It mostly sticks to 60 frames per second even in split screen. During especially hectic city trial events, you might see a bit of slowdown, but it's nothing game-breaking. Overall, you're not getting some watered-down experience just because you're playing with friends, which is great. However, that does raise the question, is Kirby Air Riders better solo or with mates? And honestly, it works either way. Road Trip is dangerously moreish on your own. Its rapid-fire mix events makes it very hard to stop just doing one more run. But with friends, especially on the same couch, the game really sings. Some of the dumbest situations City Trial throws you into are laugh-out-loud funny, and that's a huge part of the appeal. Visually, this is Kirby at his absolute best. The variety of colors, the stylized world design, and the charming animations all help bring Dreamland to life in a way we haven't really seen before. It looks fantastic, and the smooth 60 FPS performance most of the time only makes it better. And the soundtrack keeps up too, with big orchestral tracks that give races a surprising sense of drama you don't really get in most kart races. When all said and done, people are still going to compare Kirby Air Riders to Mario Kart World, and honestly, it's pretty fair. Look, I've even done it in this review. But while they share some basic DNA, I cannot stress enough that Air Riders is its own thing. A weird, clever, deceptively deep racer that finally feels like the fulfillment of what Kirby Air Ride was trying to be back on the GameCube. It's a strange little redux, but a successful sequel in just about every way, and easily one of the most interesting races I've played in years.